So yesterday I watched a very interesting video from Steve Donahue. I will link it in the description. And it was a book tag video. Now I don't do a lot of book tag videos, but this one just seems perfect for every booktuber. It's the get to know my tastes tag. I mean, it's just a bunch of questions about your taste in books, how you review them, and well, why am I describing them when I'm about to answer them all? So let's get right into it because I think this is going to be a great evergreen video on my channel for anyone that wants to know what I like. So number one, how do you rate books? Give a quick rundown of how you do your star ratings, or if you don't use star ratings, how you evaluate books. So I give star ratings on Goodreads, even though star ratings are just, I don't know. I don't really care too much about them. I don't put a lot of weight behind star ratings. Steve basically said it best. Star ratings are for people who don't want to read reviews. But the way I generally rate books is with a star rating, but also a word vomit wall of text more than anything. If you look at any of my reviews, they're mostly reactions because I'm not the deep dive kind of guy when it comes to every book I read. There's some stuff I will take a deep dive on, especially authors or specific genres. But when it comes to reviews, it's pretty basic, stars and a little bit of writing. Number two, how do you approach reviewing books? What's your review style? Are you analytical, emotional, casual, or structured? So my review style is mostly a react style. Like I know a reaction is not a review. A lot of people think it is, but when you just flip on the camera and go, OMG, book good, that's a reaction, not a review. My review style is generally I'm looking at the book and comparing it to other things the author has written or other works that are a lot like it in the genre, especially when it comes to older works. I look at kind of where they're at compared to other writers at the time, which is one of the reasons I endlessly roast Heinlein, because the dude had a 20-year head start and yet his books were whack in the early 70s if you look at any other science fiction author that was doing anywhere close to the same numbers as him. So that's a big thing I do. And overall, yes, my reviews are very casual. I'm not the theme guy. I'm blind to them a lot of the time, and I don't know why. I'm more of an accuracy by volume kind of guy. I will find a subgenre I enjoy and I will consume copious amounts of it and kind of use all those little bits and pieces to help me get a better understanding of a book I'm reading now. So I feel a lot more comfortable the deeper I get into a genre. I do occasionally do structured reviews. I write them because I want to make sure I get across everything that I need to. And that's one of the reasons I haven't made my John D. McDonald, Travis McGee retrospective, because I got to write that bad boy and it's taking some time. Number three, what's the book that made you a reader? Whether it was your first favorite or the one that got you hooked, what book started it all? Now, the book that made me a reader is the first chapter book I ever finished, and it happened to be sitting in my desk, and that is $3 Mule by Clyde Robert Bulla. Is the book good? I can't remember, but it was the first chapter book I ever read back in 4th grade. But what made me a reader was 5th going into 6th grade, I got into science fiction and fantasy. I read some Star Wars books like the Kevin J. Anderson Jedi Academy series, I think is what it's called. And I read Gary Paulson. Okay, Gary Paulson is the one that got me really into reading. I read Hatchet, Brian's Winter, The River back in 5th grade. And then in 6th grade is when I read like The Hobbit, Robinson Crusoe, all the Kevin J. Anderson Star Wars, a couple of other Star Wars novels. I can't remember. It might have been the Thrawn trilogy. And I read more than half of the Chronicles of Narnia, but then I just was like, this is boring, I'm done, I'm out. After that, I was kind of all in. I didn't read as much as I do now or anywhere close to it. The big breakthrough was probably 7th and 8th grade with like Harry Potter and other fantasy series, like the Sword of Truth series. That set me up for liking fantasy. I guess I can give it that. Also helped me figure out what was bad fantasy, so had that going for me, which is nice. Number 4, do you have a genre niche? Are there certain genres you gravitate toward, or do you read widely across genres? As I mentioned before, a bunch of science fiction and fantasy. I still read a lot of science fiction and fantasy, but I've also ventured into thrillers and crime novels and occasional dabbling of romance, but it's primarily fantasy if I had to take a guess. I do read pretty widely because so far I've only mentioned fiction, and I try to make about 20% of the stuff I read every year nonfiction, which then that breaks down to books about writing, history, sociology. I read all sorts of stuff when it comes to nonfiction. Do you generally prefer Number 5, do you generally prefer character-driven or plot-driven stories? So here's the thing. I didn't know the difference for the first 20 years I was reading, mostly because I didn't care. Like, I don't care if a book is plot driven or character driven. It just has to be executed well. Like, I better be having fun reading, and then it doesn't matter. I think I probably lean a little more toward plot focused because I don't want to sit around with like a character circle jerk. Like that's not what I want. I want things to be happening. But as I say that, like, why can't it be both? Like, why can't I have good character development during a very plot driven story? Is that not a thing? Number 6. What's a book you love so much that you don't care if others don't like it? What's that one book you love enough for everyone? I mean, that's easy. It's A Confederacy of Dunces. And it's not that I don't care if other people don't like it. It's that I enjoy it when other people don't like it. One of my favorite things is reading the 1-star and 2-star reviews of A Confederacy of Dunces on Goodreads, because usually they come across as unhinged or they're completely missing the point of the book, which is fun for me. I love when people are like, this book's stupid. Ignatius is annoying. Why do people like this? It's like, because you're missing the point, which I find funny, almost as funny as the book itself. It's a work of genius. It is the anti-Pulitzer Prize book that happens to have won a Pulitzer Prize. A Confederacy of Dunces is to litfic what It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is to sitcoms. It is a masterpiece that makes fun of the genre it is. It's so good. I think it's just parallel dimensions ahead of most readers, and that's why it turns them off. And even if you do understand it and you don't like it, that's even better for me, because if I have a person who I trust when it comes to their reviews and their thoughts on books, and they read it and they tell me everything that was wrong with it, I grow as a reader. It's wonderful. So it's definitely A Confederacy of Dunces by a wide margin. What's a book you love so much that if someone doesn't like it, you know your reading tastes don't align? The book or books where a difference of opinion is a strong indicator of different reading preferences. This is hard because the first thing that comes to mind is Wheel of Time, but I know that it's slow, and a lot of people, especially ones who've started getting into fantasy in the last decade, are like, this is boring. And I can't say Black Company because it's very polarizing, because it's got some traumatic crap going on, and I can understand if that's a complete turnoff. I really didn't think this would be the most difficult question. I think it doesn't help that I read so much. It's hard for me to know that someone's taste will align with me or not. I mean, if they only read crime fiction, there's still a very good chance that we have common taste. It just happens to only be in a single genre. And going back to polarizing series, I like Malazan because of the Unga Bunga stuff, and then I got other people over here talking about Compassion, and I'm like, I want more dragons and explosions and 200,000-year-old wizards and demons and stuff. I don't need to get all up in my feels. I want cool stuff. Now, I get cool stuff in Malazan, and yes, I do still enjoy the themes of the series, but I wouldn't be there if the Unga Bunga stuff was gone. It's really hard for me to pin something down for this, so I'm just not going to answer the question. So let's move on. Number 8, what's your trash pocket? What books, tropes, or themes that you know are bad, but you love them anyways? I am a sucker for the farm boy made good, the classic hero's journey. There's a reason it is the gold standard for basic trope. It's one of the reasons why I like Modest's Saga of Recluse series, because every 3 or 4 books you get another farm boy who becomes a hero. But when it comes to trash books, I am really starting to enjoy generic crime fiction. I say that, and then I'll rattle off a bunch of critically acclaimed writers. But you know who's not critically acclaimed? Warren Murphy. But holy crap, did I have fun with the first Digger book, Smoked Out. If I really had to pick a trash pocket thing, it's probably going to be somewhat crappy vintage fantasy, like 1960s Sword and Sorcery. I really like Lynn Carter's Warrior at World's End, Andre Norton's Witch World, which it's Andre Norton. Andre Norton is known for writing some good books and then a lot of not good books. So I will let you decide where Witch World lies in that. But it has a wizard fighting a cybernetically enhanced dude with psychic abilities on a freaking submarine. So how cool is that? Number 9, do you have any deal breakers in books? Something that, if present, immediately turns you off from a book? Yeah, abuse of women to drive the plot forward. It's stupid. I mean, it's just as bad if it's an abuse of a man, but I'm reading a lot of older crap, so it's generally women who are mistreated. I don't think that you should be using something like that to drive a plot forward. Same thing goes with like cheap killing. Honestly, I don't really have a lot of deal breakers in books other than that. I'm pretty easy when it comes to what's in a book. As long as it's done well, I don't care. It has to be done well or tastefully, like I know what it is. It is just exposition vomit. which, if exposition vomit is done well, then I don't notice it. So I think it just goes back to poor execution. That's my deal breaker, just like everyone else. Hey, a poorly executed book's not good, huh? Who'd have guessed? Number 10, what's a strong opinion you have about a book released within the last year, whether it's overrated, underrated, or just a take you need to share? I'll be real with y'all. I think I have only read one book that has come out in the last year. Let's find out. I was wrong. Wind and Truth. So the people that don't like Wind and Truth are just wrong, and they weren't aware of all of the things they're complaining about in Wind and Truth that already was going on in the first 4 books. So let's put it that way. Anyone that thinks that Rhythm of War was a 4 or 5 star book, but puts Wind and Truth at like 3 stars, forgot how to read between the releases of the 2 books. Let's put it that way. I think that the complaints about Wind and Truth are overblown. I can understand people being annoyed that they didn't get what they wanted when it comes to like the ending or the way some characters developed or the way the story was told. But that book is ginormous, but has some of the best pacing of any book Brandon Sanderson has ever written. I think that the 10-day structure really forces the reader into a mindset that things are happening quickly, and Brandon Sanderson backs it up by writing very fast paced. There's some stuff I didn't like, and it's the same complaints I've always had about the series, but beyond those normal complaints, the book is very good. Yes, he modernized the language a little, but here's the deal. I don't know if you know this, but the Cosmere is really big, and there's going to be a lot of intermingling and cross-pollination, and some of them have modern lingo, so you better get used to it. So there you go. There's my strong opinion. Number 11. What do you look for in writing? What makes a book stand out to you? Is it prose style, themes, voice, structure, or something else? I like prose style, but it's not the top thing for me. Themes, I'm blind to half the time because I'm not so smart. It's just like something in my brain. I'm just like, this story's fun. What themes? What are you talking about? I just like the book. I really like character voice. If a writer is really good at character voice, I enjoy the book a lot more because it kind of keeps my ADHD-addled monkey brain occupied. But overall, I think that what I like most is when a writer is good at exploring a place. One of my big things is escapism. I like being taken off to another world, even if that other world is Florida in 1965, like with the Travis McGee series, or with Dashiell Hammett. I get to go to New York during Prohibition and watch all these people drink a lot more booze than they should be, considering it's illegal, especially when they're sipping it with cops and stuff. That's always fun. And when it comes to fantasy, I love being in new worlds. I like exploring them. I like figuring out how they tick. I like figuring out how they work. It's just great. And when an author can paint a beautiful picture of that world, I'm sold. That's what I want. I'm going to say it again because it's really all that matters, and it's execution. If you could write a story about a wizard with narcolepsy and a glue sniffing addiction and you execute it well, I'm going to read it. Also, if that book exists, let me know because I'm going to read it. Number 12, how do you decide what to read next? Do you plan ahead, mood read, or follow external factors, hype, recommendations, advanced reader copies, that kind of thing? So I just got into the advanced reader copy game. I got the newest Glenn Cook novel, so keep an eye out for me reviewing that. I might wait until it gets closer to release. We'll see. Other than advanced reader copies, the thing I follow is I have a project every year. It kind of structures a little bit of my reading, and this year is Lois McMaster Bujold, and it's going great. And last year was Glenn Cook, and it went great. Other than that, it's mostly mood reading. I will find other people that I agree with when it comes to books and see what they're reading, and I'll go for something like that. Or I'll just pick up a random thing that I own or a random thing that I found, and I just let chance take the wheel a lot of the time. I think in the last week I've read 2 books that I just stumbled upon. I don't even remember where. Either someone mentioned it offhandedly or I saw it online and I was like, hey, that looks interesting. Can I get that for free on Libby? Oh, I can? Sweet. I will listen to it right now. New releases are something I am trying to work on. The problem is a lot of writers I enjoy are either dead or not releasing new books. So new releases don't really do it. Oh, I do have a very big motivating factor that I just blanked out on until just now. The Great Conversation. When it comes to any genre fiction, which is mostly what I read, I like to find the books that inspired the things I enjoy. So when it comes to fantasy, I've been reading stuff all the way back to Lord Dunsany and H. Rider Haggard, which isn't technically fantasy, but H. Rider Haggard was a big influence on Tolkien. So I had to read it. I want to understand the genres I enjoy at a deeper level, and it's part of my whole accuracy by volume thing. The way my brain works is it's like Charlie in It's Always Sunny with the wall of string and everything, all the little data points when it comes to different books I read, I can use to understand a book better. I'm not a very deep reader, even if I really take my time and break stuff down. It just doesn't work that way with me. So I read very broadly in a genre to get a better understanding of the conversation between all these authors and the ones that came before them. And then occasionally with my projects, I read everything a writer has written so that I can understand that writer better. I'm one of those people that you'll say the same thing to me 3 times and I heard it but didn't hear it. And usually by the 4th time, I'm like, what? And I understand it. So sometimes I have to do that with books. 13. Where do you get inspiration for your booktube content? What sparks your video ideas, other creators, trends, personal reading experience? It's mostly personal reading experience, but occasionally I see some smooth-brained comment in all of the book groups I'm in, and I think, wow, what a bad take. I think that I should make a video about that. Or someone just being in a discussion with me about interesting books. A lot of it is talking to my wife. She is my soundboard. I'll say, hey, what do you think about a video where I compare Red Country by Joe Abercrombie to some of the greatest Westerns ever written, talk about how it deserves to be on that list. Something like that. Haven't made that yet. I got notes for it though, so maybe I will eventually. I do enjoy watching stuff from other creators. I don't like copying other videos unless it's like a tag like this. Yeah, it's mostly just personal experience. So when I made a booktube channel, I noticed that a lot of the books I had enjoyed when it came especially to vintage science fiction and fantasy, no one's ever talked about. Or if they have, they haven't done it in a while. Since I've gotten on booktube, I've noticed there's a lot more to booktube than I thought. The booktube iceberg is very deep in the water. Number 14, if you could make any book go viral right now, what would it be? A book you think deserves more attention and why? Now I want to say The Confederacy of Dunces because there's no better time than right now for that book because Ignatius is the original red-pilled incel. Let's put that aside. I think that the one book I want to go viral more than anything else is Glenn Cook's Passage at Arms. Now, big shocker, I mentioned Glenn Cook as the thing I think that should go viral, but I mentioned his science fiction. Here's the deal. He is an amazing fantasy writer. He is just as good at science fiction, but most people talk about The Dragon Never Sleeps. I didn't like that book. I think it's a polarizing book. If you are into that book, it is one of your favorite things ever written, but it's really easy to bounce off of it. That's not the same with Passage at Arms. Passage at Arms is like a masterpiece of military science fiction. I put it very close to things like The Forever War by Joe Haldeman, and I put it above Starship Troopers by Heinlein. The thing about Passage at Arms is you are following a disabled veteran who goes back into the human space navy or whatever to get on the space equivalent of a submarine. These are little cramped ships that are able to basically dip in and out of our reality. They go into like this weird 0 dimension thing because basically if you have a ship under a certain mass and you trigger your faster than light capabilities in a certain way, you just kind of fade out. But the problem is the entire time you're faded out, you can't dissipate heat. So the ship just gets hotter and hotter and hotter and it'll kill the crew if you're underwater long enough. And it's really fascinating and it is such a great book about what it would be like to be on a submarine or a ship like that. And it shows off everything that Glenn Cook is great at. The way he can write a character, the introspective moments of the narrator, they're just unparalleled in science fiction. I think that a parallel when it comes to that style is John D. MacDonald with Travis McGee, which makes sense because he was a big influence on Glenn Cook. It's just so rare that you find someone that can write a character in that way. And a lot of people write in first person, but not a lot of people can get anywhere close to the way Glenn Cook writes first person. It's just so good. So anyone out there that has served in the military, if you read this book, you will like it. It's just that simple. If you like science fiction and you served, you will like it. I don't think there are a lot of other books out there that have as accurate of a representation of what it's like to be in the Navy, Space Navy, terrestrial Navy, whatever. He does such a good job with how soldiers act, their camaraderie. In the end, as much as Glenn Cook likes to say he's not pushing themes or trying to get the reader to think about stuff, it's an anti-war novel. It's an anti-war novel in a way that sneaks up on you. And this is coming from the dude that doesn't understand theme most of the time. Can't recommend that book enough. Number 15, who are some booktubers with reading tastes similar to yours? I read super broad. So if we are looking at kind of who has the most shared taste with me, I actually think it's books with Genghis Khan. We're like 2 ships passing in the night because he's read a lot of stuff that I have not read. And I have read a lot of stuff that he hasn't. But everything that we have both read, we both love. I also think Jake Bishop and I have a lot of books in common. Because if you look at his like favorite series of all time, minus Robin Hobb, because I've only read the Soldier Son trilogy, I think that our top 10 shares like 6 series or something. So that's pretty good. And when it comes to quirky stuff like goofy vintage science fiction and fantasy and stuff, Michael K. Vaughan and I read a lot of the same junk. Steve Donahue reads every book in existence, so we share some books we enjoy. I know he likes William Manchester, and I'm a big William Manchester fan, but maybe that's because he's from Boston. I don't know. I will mention that Carlos and Yolanda at StoryTube, we have very similar tastes in crime fiction, and that's because every crime fiction book they've recommended to me, I have absolutely loved, and the ones that I have recommended to them, they have loved. So we got crime fiction working together, and Carlos and I have read some science fiction, and we really like that. And then I decided to read Red Rising, partially because of Yolanda, and it is now one of my favorite trilogies ever written. I'll read the rest of them once there is a release date for Red God. So we have similar tastes, but then they read a lot of stuff I have no interest in. And that's the beauty of reading. There's so many books out there. There's so many different things to enjoy. And there's so many people on BookTube that you can find someone that maybe enjoys like 60% of the same stuff as you. And so you get a really good chance of finding something you will enjoy. BookTube's a beautiful place. I recommend all of you join. Number 16 is tag others. And I'm going to have a pretty big list down there because I think this is one of the best tags in BookTube because it allows viewers to understand what your channel is about, why you do the things you do, your thought process behind all the books you enjoy. And also, I want to see more videos like this. Most of the tags at the bottom are going to be for completely selfish reasons. I'm hoping that at least a few people will do the book tag video because I will have a great time with it. And you know, that's what BookTube is about. We're here to enjoy books. We're here to talk about books. And I don't have anything else to say. I'm rambling at this point. Let me know in the comments some answers to these questions. You don't have to answer them all, maybe one or two. Let me know what your tastes are, or better yet, let me know about number 6 and number 7. What book do you love so much you don't care if others like it? And what book is so important to you that when another reader doesn't like it, you know that you aren't going to have similar tastes with them? But that's it. I'm done here. Thanks for watching. And with that, I'll see you next time.